Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. In FreeCAD today we're going to be looking at projection and how to create a cutout on a curved surface using either text, sketch or an imported SVG, and that's going to be the FreeCAD logo. We're going to create what's on the screen at this moment. I'm not going to go into colouring, but I can do that in another tutorial if that's needed. I hope you're enjoying this channel and let's have a look how we'll do this. If you like what you see and you want to donate to the channel, then you can do so via Ko-Fi or Coffee at ko-fi.com/MANG0 or via PayPal at paypal.com/PayPalMe/DarrenBEstone. I also run a Patreon where you can get early access and additional content, and that's at patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Links can be found in the channel header, on the About page, or in the descriptions of these videos. So for this tutorial, we're using the Draft Workbench. I've already created a new document. I'm using FreeCAD version 1. We're going to be using the projection tool, this one here. I'm going to show you how to project both text and an imported SVG. So for this one, let's start with something that's quite hard to sketch upon. I'm going to use a sphere. Click on the sphere, and the radius at the moment is 5mm. Let's set this to something like 50mm. And that's a bit big. Let's zoom out. So the first one I'm going to use is text and project text onto this surface and then extrude it. So come over to the Draft Workbench. We can add text. You can use an import SVG to do this if you wanted to. Now the thing is, when we come into the Draft Workbench, what we'll see is that the 3D view is being projected towards us. You can see we're in this part-way state. So let's click on some blank space to make sure nothing's selected. Come up to Utilities. What we're going to do is select Plane. If we look to the left, I'm going to select the front plane. So I've selected the front plane, and this is pointing towards the front direction now. So this is where we're going to sketch upon or place our text upon. I'm going to hide the sphere. I'm going to press the spacebar. I'm going to use this tool here. Shape from text. It was available from the drafting and shape from text. First of all, we need to select a font. Now you can set this as default in the settings. Come out, Edit, Preferences, and look at the draft. Come down to Text and Dimensions. Put the font family here, the font size, etc. But this is the one that you want, this one down here, the shape string. So sometimes people get confused and place the font in here. We really want to select it from this default shape string down the bottom. Select that. And we select wherever our fonts are. So I know on Windows, it's in Windows/fonts. We can obviously browse for it if we wanted to. I'm going to pick a default of, I always go for Tahoma for demonstrations, and open that. So that sets that as default. Let's apply that and hit OK. So now if I cancel that and add my shape string, we get the font automatically added. Let's set some height. So I'm going to set this to about 40mm and place some string in here. So let's go for 10. So let's make something like a pool ball or something. I'm going to use 10 on here. I don't think there's 10 on pool balls, but let's reset the point and go OK. So we've added our text in. Let's take the text and come down and look at the justification. I'm going to set this to middle center. What will happen if I click off? That places that in the center. So if we transform this, it will be from the center point. Makes it a bit easier. If I come into the tree view and click on the sphere, press the spacebar, show it again, the text is within. I want to place a text on this sphere here. So let's click on the shape string and look at the placement of this. We're going to translate along the Y. Let's have a look at the placement, the shape string, position, not attached to anything. You can see the attachment is deactivated, so we always go for the placement. And we'll move this along the Y. I'm just going to use my arrow key to bring this out in front like so. So we've got that there. I can alter the size of the shape string, my liking, so I might want this a bit bigger. Let's say 50 millimeters, and I'm happy with that. So I want to project this text upon the sphere. Let's go back to the part workbench. This tool here is the projection. And this will project faces, wires, no matter what they are. So it could be an SVG, it could be a sketch, it could be text as we're doing here, onto our chosen surface. So remember, this is projection. So that means it's going to create a shadow of this onto the sphere from the viewpoint. Let's use the tool. We'll come up to part and come down to create projection on surface. First thing we need to do is select the projection surface. Click the button and then click sphere. Next, we add a face. So the text is a face. So we've got two faces here. And we can add wires, add edges, etc. I'm going to add face. We can select one face. So let's bring this around here. So select this one here and then control select the other one. Those are selected. And now we need to get the current camera direction. So I don't want to project it from this angle. I want to hit the front while those two are still selected and click on this button here, get current camera direction. Then we hit OK. Now, if we pan this to the left or the right, we can see that the projection has taken. So what we've got is the shape string. I'm going to press the space bar on that, and that's been projected onto this surface. If I click on the sphere and press the space bar, we can see that on there. It's two faces that are non-planar have been projected onto that sphere. So we've projected the text onto the surface. Now there are two hurdles here. We look at the projection. We can see that it's basically a shadow onto this surface. So if I click on the shape string, and the good thing about version 1 is that the projection is parametric. So I can take that shape string. If I increase the size of this to say 80, then what will happen is, well, that's a bit too far. That doesn't demonstrate what we want to do. Let's put this to say 60. You can see we're getting deformation going across this surface. We have to watch out for that. The other thing we need to watch out for is extrude direction. With the projection, we have a height. And this will extrude, but it will only extrude along one normal. So if I set this to 10, you can see the extrusion here. Basically extruded straight up. Whereas we want to extrude out this way and this way, keeping the contours of the ball with the extrusion, which this is not doing. This is basically doing a simple extrude. So if I set this to 0 and then click on the projection and use the extrude, and if I look at the bottom, let's have a look to see what way we want to extrude it. So the only way we can extrude it is in one direction, so it's in the Y. Click Y, because if I try to do it along the normal and go OK, it's going to say that it can't determine the normal vector of the shape. So we've got to pick the Y. Now hit OK. You can see it's basically the same as when we added the height. How do we get around that? Let's delete that extrude. Click on the projection and press the space bar to see it. I'm going to hide the sphere. Click on it and press the space bar. Going over to the Draft Workbench, we use a tool in here again. And that's this tool, Facebinder. What the Facebinder allows me to do is take faces, say these two, control select them, and select the Facebinder, what we see, we've got the Facebinder, those two faces. I'm going to click on the projection now, hide it. Now I've got the Facebinder, and we've got this extrusion. Now watch what happens when I add the same height of extrusion. It extrudes out, and it has the correct angle. So you can see we've got this type of angle rather than a straight normal angle along one normal. Got some offset in here as well. I can move this down. So let's do a -1 on this. That's moved it down by -1 millimeter. So now I can take the sphere, press the space bar, see that in there. Let's go over to the part workbench. Select the one I want to keep. Control select the one I want to remove, which is the Facebinder. Use the cut. And we've cut that into the ball. We've created this. This is the same for sketches as well. So we can do this with a sketch. Let's create a sketch. And I want to place this along, cancel that. Let's come around to this side so we can see what plane, the XZ plane. The new sketch, XZ plane, and OK. Let's use the view section. And I'm going to place a circle in here. So just a simple circle. And hit close. So now this sketch has a circle within here. That's inside the sphere. I'm going to take the sketch, I'm going to push it through the other side. So the placement position, because we're not attached. And we're going to move it across the y-axis. And we're going to bring it out the other side, pressing the up arrow. And we've got that going out the other side there. Let's use the projection again. So we're going to come around and project this edge. Use the create projection on the surface. Select projection surface. I'm going to select the sphere. Now we haven't got a face, but we've got a wire or an edge. Click add edge and select circle. And again, I'll select the rear. I want to project from this angle. Hit camera and current direction and hit OK. So now we've got that circle. Click on the sketch, press the spacebar. You can see we've got the projection there. So what happens if I click on that and use the height? So let's set this to say 10. You can see, press the spacebar, nothing's happened there. So the projection, this one here, height, nothing's happening. So what do? Let's delete that projection. We've still got the sketch. Press the spacebar on the sketch. Go up to part and make face from wires. So what we've got now is a face I can project the same as before. And in there, I've got the sketch. Again, this is parametric. You can see it's got a source. So any changes to the sketch, close, will affect the face. Let's go through the same process. Make sure nothing's selected. Select the projection. Select the projected surface, which is the sphere. Add face, this one. Set the angle, click on rear, get camera direction, and then hit OK. Have a look to see what's happened. So you can see we've got now a circle going around here. And as I hover over, we get this hatching. Click on the sphere and press the spacebar. You can see that now we have a dome. Click on this as well. Get rid of that. We've got that dome there. We could try to 3D offset this as well. If I click on that dome and use the 3D offset, you see we've got a 3D offset in here, which I can change and fill offset if I wanted to, and hit OK. that's enough a way of adding thickness to this. Look at the cut, press the spacebar, you can see that's offset. You can change the direction of the offset. The minus value, go inwards. Take the one we want to keep, Control select the offset and make the cut. If we look inside the cut, we have an offset now, and the projection is still visible. Press the spacebar on that to hide it, and we can see we've now got a cutout in there from that offset. So we've learned how to project both text and a sketch. Let's look at importing an SVG. Now I'm going to import the FreeCAD logo and place it on this face. To do that, we can search for the FreeCAD logo. And here we've got the FreeCAD symbol.svg. So I've searched just for FreeCAD logo SVG. If we visit here, we get to the commons.m.wikimedia.org. And this is an SVG logo, which I can right click and save as. I've already downloaded it. Just save it in there. Once downloaded, let's come back to FreeCAD and come up to File and Import. From here, I can select the SVG and open it. It's going to ask us if we want it as an image format or open it as an SVG as geometry. Select the SVG as geometry and open. We'll just select yes, the pop-up. And now we've got the logo within here. We look to the left, we have a number of paths. For each part of this, each colored part is a path. This is where we have to figure out how this logo is going to look on this ball. I'm looking at this section here, I'm thinking that we can remove this to leave a void. This is path 9_4. Let's hit delete on that. Now we've got the individual paths. Because we're dealing with a 2D object, we can use the Draft Workbench. Come to Draft. I'm going to take these and Control select them. Go up to Modification, I'm going to upgrade that into one single object. This is now a shell. I can right click and transform this and place it in the orientation that I want, which is something like this. And we'll bring this forward. We're going to have to scale this and also flip it around the other way. Let's flip it around this way. You can use the Draft Rotate tools if you want to. I'm just going to use Transform tools. It may have been quicker to use the Draft Rotate and Transform tools. Actually, come to think about it, let's look at this from the top and bring this over like so. I'm going to need to still scale this down. So something like that. Let's hit OK. We'll need to scale this. So I'm in the Draft Workbench and I need to set my working plane as I need to scale this along the plane. To do that, make sure nothing's selected. Go to Utilities and select plane. So we're looking at the rear here. This is on the XZ plane. Look down, we can see the XZ, the front. Click that, and that set the plane there. So now I'll select the shell, and we'll use the scale tool. This one here, we'll come up to modifications and scale. We need to enter the point that we need to scale from. I want to select, say, the midpoint. Now this is selecting the midpoint behind here of the circle, which not too bad, so that's not a bad idea. Let's select something like here. And we want uniform scaling selected. And I'm going to create a clone. Because the shell itself won't scale, we'll create a clone and scale that. Let's set this to 0.5 across the board. Maybe a bit more. 0.3. Let's go for 4. There we go. And hit OK. So what we've got now is a clone of the shell and the shell itself. Press the space bar. So we've got our face ready to go. And we can position this, click on it. And that's selected the clone. So you can see there's a little sheep here. That's the clone, the placement, and the position. We can shift this along the X and the Y. So I'm going to place it around about, place it along the Z as well. There we go, something like that. So now I'm happy with where this is positioned. Let's come up and select the part workbench. We're ready to do the projection. Make sure nothing's selected and select Create Projection on Surface. Again, select the projection surface and we'll select this face here. Now we click on Add Face. I'm going to Control Select all of these faces, like so. Set the camera angle, click on the cube, and select Get Current Camera Direction, and then click OK. You can see the projection has failed, saying no support face specified. Let's click on that and have a look to see what we got. You can see the support face there hasn't taken. Let's select the button on the end, then come in and select this face here, and then hit OK. And click off, and that's now taken on that face. So if that happens, you can fix that quite easily. Let's select the SVG, which is the shell, and press the space bar. We've got the projection upon there. We're in the part workbench. I can take the projection and use the 3D offset. We can see we get an error. We've got a problem there. Let's cancel that. And that may be because we've got these multiple faces in here. So what I'm going to do is take this over in the Draft Workbench and create the Facebinder again. I'm going to Control Select all the faces that I want, taking all those, and then use the Facebinder, or come up to Drafting and Facebinder. That's created a Facebinder there. Let's click on the projection and press the space bar. We've got that. Click on that. And let's have a look. So we can use the extrusion here, and let's set the extrusion to say 10. So that's taken. So we've got a nice take on the extrude. So there's a number of ways of extruding this. Let's bring back the sphere, which is actually the cut one here. I need to offset that Facebinder. I need to move it down. So by -1. That places it within there, so I can cut it away. I can combine it, join it in there with a union if I wanted to. But I'm going to use a cut over on Part Workbench. So we select the one we want to keep, which is the cut, this one here. Control Select the Facebinder. And though I've selected just faces here, you can see they're selected in the tree view. And come over and use the cut. We now get the cut, the FreeCAD logo within the ball. So that's it. That's how to use the projection tool in the Part Workbench to project either an SVG, sketch, or some text onto a sphere or a curved surface. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope to see you in the new one. If you like what you see and you want to donate to the channel, then you can do so via Ko-Fi or Coffee at ko-fi.com/MANG0, or via PayPal at paypal.com/paypalme/DarrenBEstone. I also run a Patreon where you can get early access and additional content. and that's at patreon.com/Mango Jelly Solutions. Links can be found in the channel header, on the About page, or in the descriptions of these videos. I thank everybody that's donated so far. It really helps to keep the lights on so I can produce more content and also expand the channel. Thank you for liking, commenting and subscribing to these videos, and I hope to see you again in the next one.